Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the First Unitarian of Toledo, Ohio. On the 17th of September, 2023. I am Phil Park Thomas, your service associate today. Our senior minister, Tim Barber, is leading the service today. Jeffrey Maxey over there on the piano is our music director and leads the First Unitarian Choir. And if you are new here, or have been coming for 100 years, we are a church with no set doctrine or official creed. We covenant to support each other in our individual searches for truth and meaning. We welcome everyone. If you are a visitor, you may find literature in the pew rack that tells a little bit about who we are, our core principles. Feel free to take any of that with you. There is also a handy-dandy yellow card. Looks like this. That you may use to introduce yourself to us if you're new. If you include your email address, we'll send you news of our weekly activities and our FYI, which comes out each Thursday, and you may get an advance copy of the order of service each weekend before the service. I'm also going to flag something early, and I'll repeat it again at the end of the service, that we do have a coffee hour, and it's a good time to meet and connect with people if you haven't already, and feel free to ask questions if you have any. It's a very relaxed atmosphere. And we also welcome those of you who are joining us virtually this morning. Again, good morning.
And I'm Reverend Tim. Let me add to the welcome to you here in the sanctuary and our viewers on our Toledo Unitarians YouTube channel. As Phil lights the chalice, let's say the words for lighting together. We are Unitarian Universalists with minds that think, hearts that love, and hands that are ready to serve. Together, we care for our earth and work for friendship and peace in the world. And
while we're reciting together, let us say the covenant of our congregation.
love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Today, on our minds, in our hearts, and with our spirits, we think of our colleagues who are Jewish, both in religious practice and those who identify by heritage, and including some who combine their Jewish faith with their Unitarian Universalism. Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, formally began at Sunset Friday, and the celebration continues through sunset tonight. And Sunday to Monday next week is Yom Kippur, the Hebrew Day of Atonement. Congregation members and their families are held closely. One family experienced a house fire just as they were preparing for a move, and they have to find alternate housing for possibly a full year. They report that they're fine and well treated by their insurance company, so there aren't needs that the congregation can help with at this point. Another family had a cancer scare with a relieving diagnosis that the concern is benign, but there is still some medical work to come because of that. We hurt and heal with you. Our congregation has been working through challenges of security and safety at our church, from general thoughts, including concern about political division and radicalization, and U.S. politicians' talk of civil war, to worry about balancing welcoming and comfort with protection and caution. We're working through that in conversation, uneasily but with diligence. Know that there are no threats, but we want to be prepared just in case something could occur. Locally and nationally, we feel for our striking neighbors in the United Auto Workers Union. The UAW beginning strike strategy was to strike at one location of each of the big three automakers. And Stellantis's Jeep plant in Toledo is one of those selected places. May the negotiations be quick and good for the workers. I'm a former member of the Communication Workers of America, and I offer my support to our Toledo UAW folks. Over the world, weather continues to be doing damage. There are floods in Libya, an earthquake in Morocco, and a hurricane in Canada, along with other storms and fires. Let's treat the world better and find the benefit in caring for our planet. And on our minds, in our hearts, with our spirits, there is cosmic mystery. We can be a little bit playful about there being a NASA report that UFOs, now called UAPs, that's unidentified aerial phenomena, haven't been identified as extraterrestrial in origin, but that there are still some questions to be answered. And that NASA has appointed a director of research to study UFOs, UAPs. You might have your own items for meditation, contemplation, and prayer, so we include the unsaid here as we are in community. We can share burdens and be glad together for accomplishments. We are together in fact and in spirit. And now please join us for our opening hymn. Today it's number 1008 in our teal hymnal supplement, and the words will also be on the screen. Please join our choir for this congregational singing of When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. And rise if you're willing.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed line, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from the inside, and we listen with a loving heart, and we hear our voices in each other's words, our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, when the God of our hearts lives within, and we feel the power of each other's faith. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
I was trying to give some sign language to Jenny saying, I saw kids come here. Story time.
Good morning, kids and others. I have brought today, hi Ivy, come on up. Any of our little kids who would like to come forward, I would love to have you up here. If you want to stay where you are, that is fine too. I have brought today a basket of tokens for today's blessing. Ellen is kindly passing this basket around, and I ask that you put into the, I'm sorry, Ellen, they don't get one. Just the kids.
If you're a student, you get a pin.
We're all students of life, but students of school
Have
get
a
them.
tuition bill.
If you would pass the bowl around, I'm going to ask people to put into it their courage, their good sense, your self-discipline, your smarts, your love, your capacity for forgiveness. And we are going to offer all of those things to our young congregants. And when it gets back around, if you would please bring it up to me, or maybe Ivy, if you would grab it and bring it up to me when it gets done. Not yet, though. So welcome to our scholars. We here at church want you to know that we are blessed to have you here with us. And today, we are offering you our blessings as well. So for today's purposes, by a blessing, we mean we wish you the best. We wish you good luck, good fortune, joy, and happiness. We're giving you these blessings to let you know that we care about you and we want good things for you this year. We hope you are able to find joy in every day. And we hope that whether your day is going great or going terribly, we hope that you can remember that you are loved and supported here at your church. So, blessings to your backpacks, your pencils, your Chromebooks, your textbooks, your crayons, your scissors, your glue. We hope that these tools will help you do the best that you can in your work and in your play. And we hope that in the rest of your life, you are able to find the tools that you need to get things done. Whether those tools are real things like your notebooks, or more emotional things like courage and forgiveness. We also bless your brains who do so much of the work. We hope that they are able to pick up on new facts quickly and with great excitement. We hope that they are determined when you're working on a hard problem. We hope that they are wise when you're faced with disappointments. We hope that they stay curious always. We also bless your guts. We hope that your guts give you courage when you need it. We hope that they stay full of good food. We hope that they are calm when you are nervous. We hope they give you the pluck to stand up when you see injustice. We bless your throats that they may speak the truth. We hope that they help you defend others who need help, and that they also help you defend yourself when you need it. We hope that they are strong when you see injustice. We hope that they sing in joy every day. We bless your movements through the world, whether those movements are real and physical over the earth and the floors, or whether they're more mental through new ideas and new practices. We hope that you feel free to take up space in the world and to say, hey, I am here. I am important. Most of all, we bless your hearts. We hope that you always feel the love that your friends and your family and your church have for you. We hope that everything you do in love. We hope that when you are uncertain what to do in a situation, you remember to stay on the side of love. We hope that when you make mistakes, you are able to forgive yourself and begin again in love. These are the blessings that we give you this year. When I get to the classroom with the kids, we're going to hand out these charms so that they can carry with them a symbol of all the good wishes that we have for them this year. May it be so. May you be blessed. May you go in peace and joy. Can I get an amen?
Amen. Let's sing for the children, as this is the time when they and their teachers leave our service for religious education.
need a clean heart, O God. Create in me a clean heart, O God. And renew my spirit, Holy Spirit, in me. Cast me not from thy presence. Oh, cast me not from thy presence. But renew my spirit within me. Restore unto me. Restore unto me. The joy of my salvation. Holy create in me a clean heart, O God. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew my spirit. Holy Spirit, create in me a clean heart, O
Thank you, choir. Please join me for our time of meditation, contemplation, and prayer. Today's reading is by Dana E. Warsnup, titled, I Want to Be with People. Often people say that they love coming to a place with so many like-minded people. I know just what they are getting at, and I know that they aren't quite getting it right. I don't want to be with a bunch of people who think just like me. I want to be in a beloved community where I don't have to think like everyone else to be loved, to be eligible for salvation. I want to be with people who value compassion, justice, love, and truth, though they have different thoughts and opinions about all sorts of things. I want to be with independent-minded people of good heart. I want to be with people who have many names and no name at all for God. I want to be with people who see me in my goodness and dignity, who also see my failings and foibles, and who still love me. I want to be with people who feel their interconnection with all existence and let it guide their footfalls upon the earth. I want to be with people who see life as a paradox and don't always rush to resolve it. I want to be with people who are willing to walk the tight rope that is life and who will hold my hand as I walk mine. I want to be with people who let church call them into a different way of being in the world. I want to be with people who support, encourage, and even challenge each other to higher and more ethical living. I want to be with people who inspire one another to follow the call of the Spirit. I want to be with people who covenant to be honest, engaged, and kind, who strive to keep their promises and hold me to the promises I make. I want to be with people who give of themselves, who share their hearts and minds and gifts. I want to be with people who know that human community is often warm and generous, sometimes challenging, and almost always a grand adventure. In short, I want to be with people like you. Let's observe 1 minute of silence.
Spirit of truth, of life, of love, we bring ourselves as gifts to thee. Oh, my hearts, this sacred love. In faith and hope and charity.
A Place of Belonging and Caring by Kimberly Ann Tomchak Carlson. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there is a yearning, a calling, hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging, caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share. And so you began seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to possibilities of love, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home.
What's 8 months from now? The third Sunday of the month in May. Traditionally, that Sunday, a week before Memorial Day, is the day of our congregation's annual meeting. It's 8 months and 1 week from a church picnic. The annual meeting is the informal end of our church year, which for this year informally began 1 week ago on the first Sunday after Labor Day. Yes, our church year is bookended by federal holidays. We do have church year-round, though, including services every Sunday. It's just that most of the work of our committees, groups, and teams is done during these 8 months. And from late spring into summer, we reduce our activities, but we also continue to do a lot of church work then, too. 8 months from now is our annual meeting. The purpose of this 8 months topic today is for our Toledo Unitarians to be inspired this year to volunteer, to work for and support our church home, to help us be a thriving liberal religious congregation in Northwest Ohio. These are serious points from me as we're beginning the year. I know that some of you might think when hearing a request to volunteer at church, you might want instead to volunteer the minister to do the work for you. But my thought today is that you volunteer to help with some of the more day-to-day needs of a nonprofit religious membership organization. Neither you nor I want my fingers in all of the pie. If you're a visitor here today, I hope you'll find some good words too in today's sermon, but I know the focus is inside our walls. If you visitors find that you're inspired by my words here, or just that this is a church where we'll talk about this in public, please consider joining our church yourself and make First Unitarian better with your involvement. At our last annual meeting, we made some hard decisions. They're centered on our church budget that we voted to continue this year with deficit funding, but said we'd work through possibilities of positioning our church better for future stability so we don't continue to spend more than we take in from pledges and fundraisers and a bequest or two. You do know that we're self-supporting, not receiving money from denominational headquarters. And in fact, we send money to the Unitarian Universalist Association. Oh, excuse me, I have just gone to another document. We do send money to the Unitarian Universalist Association. Let's try this. And we don't send nearly as much money as they ask for. Come on now. Load, document, load. Okay, let's try it this way. Here we go.
I've got the hard copy here if you're desperate.
Okay. All right, here we go. To a different document here. Yeah, we did make some decisions. We do send money to the UUA, and we don't send as much as they ask for. Now, with our church year underway, it's my task to ask all of us to have focus. Don't let the document go to another screen. Have focus. And do the work of our church. Some of it's hard, a little bit of it is easy. So that First Unitarian Church of Toledo is stable and has the potential for growth beyond year to year, rather than letting us settle into a point of diminishing presence and effect. As well, we want to do that intentionally, and for our actions to have the eighth principle in mind, because our congregation voted for that at the annual meeting, to journey, as the principle says, toward spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and in our institutions. I've already mentioned our budget, but this 8 months from now talk is not just about the budget. It's barely about budget at all, really, and not a stewardship sermon. But I do feel the need to ask you, please, to pay your pledge over the coming year, be generous, and even add a few dollars beyond your pledge to the collection basket when you're here on Sundays. Rather than funding our budget, the call is to pay attention and, if you can, physically to do some of the work for and at First Unitarian Church of Toledo over the year. For the next 8 months, let's be conscious about our being a changing congregation. We're aging. The number of new people coming through our doors and choosing to join our church is smaller, and the old models and perceptions of what church is don't apply anymore. There won't be a back to normal, but rather we need to make new ways. So we need to figure out together how to be a church in these changing times and circumstances and practices. Though our numbers are smaller, we're not at a standstill. There are people in our pews interested in joining our church, and we welcome them. We'll also welcome into membership you who only see us on the live stream if you'd like to join. We know that we have a number of lapsed members, people who signed the membership book but no longer pay an annual pledge. Might we do better in inviting them to rejoin us? And yes, we have members who have not come back since we reopened after our time of COVID necessary closure for in-person services in 2020 and 2021. Though we did live stream the entire time, and some of you who haven't returned in person do watch on our Toledo Unitarians YouTube channel. And we know you're there, and we honor that attendance. Getting new people plus lapsed members and including online viewers to join or rejoin us is one thing, but there's also the real need for we who are physically here now to start the process of better positioning our church with our labor as well as our money. We can't wait for a perfect starting day. Why do I talk about this as a sermon in a religious service rather than using different ways to approach the need for all to be involved, like through our Toledo Unitarians media or just at the beginning of a stewardship pledge drive? Well, the service is really the core of our church's exercise. And Sundays at 11 are when we have the most people joining us at one time. Plus, I'll be making a suggestion or two throughout the year, and I'd like you to tie those to this talk. So this is when I can best ask you to take part. And I know several of you already take part, and we appreciate what you do. I'm not asking you to do more, but to continue, please. Now, let me get to a few specifics about getting to 8 months from now. This isn't everything, and I haven't really discussed this with our lay leaders. So this is just from me and not our policy at this point. So you might get other suggestions from other people, and some of my thoughts might end up being rejected. Such is community life, and I'm glad to be at a place where growth can germinate in this way. One thing I'd like to have happen, and I know it's not always possible, but you've been very good about being attentive to this, is for a member to make a generous but realistic annual pledge and to pay it in full by the end of the church year. And also for the member to take a physical part in the activities of the congregation, both as an attendee, such as for Sunday services, for congregational workshops, and for public events and church social times we host. I'd also like you, if it's possible, for you to take part as members of committees, groups, and teams for which you might have special interest and or expertise. Full knowledge of things is not required, as we can train interested people. Yes, that request is asking more than we've been used to recently, and why I feel the need to bring it up. We know that we're downsizing, and for most religious organizations in current U.S. existence, as well as elsewhere in the world, that's normal, and we must be conscious about it. But downsizing also means we're losing some of our volunteer workers, and that's harder to do without in an organization of our size. What is our size? Drawn from numbers at the May annual meeting, currently we have more than 120 pledgers, most but not all of them members. And our pledging units, the number of pledges, which includes individuals pledging for themselves and families pledging as a couple or as parent and child, is 92. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we're in a gray area where in some ways we're considered a middle-sized church, and in other ways, a small-sized church. We're also pretty solidly in the average membership numbers for U.S. Unitarian Universalist congregations, I think. But fewer people in a traditional structure means more of a burden on each to carry the regular financial need. So we have to imagine new ways to have First Unitarian bring in contributions. We don't just take member pledges and ask you to pay more. And remember, membership isn't as clear as it once was. We have some people in our congregation who don't pledge, others who don't sign the membership book. And our membership requirements are to pledge annually, to make a payment on your pledge, and to sign the membership book. Not strict at all. We don't ask you to renounce a previous religion. We don't require you to pay a minimum amount. We don't ask you to believe anything in particular, but rather, as stated in our bylaws, to be in general sympathy with the purposes, goals, and programs of the congregation and with Unitarian Universalist principles. We read about younger people not joining a church as the old models of membership, our models, don't serve them well. We know that some families with young children or teenagers just can't do the Sunday mornings at church thing that many of us grew up with and have continued throughout our lives. Even if maybe not so consistently, as when our area societal structures expected church attendance. We know that some of us seniors aren't as good as we age with timing and transportation. So we don't try to make visits to church a regular occurrence. And for some of us, actual physical safety is a concern as we learn news about shootings and disruptions in other congregations and liberal organizations. And we know that we Unitarian Universalists might be more vulnerable than a mainstream church for attack or obstruction. For the safety aspect, please know that we're in conversation and discussion right now about how to improve security. And while we welcome all, that doesn't mean we put up with anything. We have to consider this year and always the composition of our membership. We'd like to be a family church with 3 generations of kids, parents, and grandparents well represented. However, we've aged at the same time as attendance characteristics have more generally changed. I think all but one member of our church board are retired, and that other member is retirement age, as am I, your full-time called and settled minister, now age 65, and I don't intend to retire or reduce my hours of work until a long time, many years from now. The younger folks in our congregation aren't that youthful anymore, are they? Thankfully, we have some young adults finding First Unitarian and bringing themselves and their children. And we're making good efforts at being multi-generational, in large part thanks to Jenny Gottman's activities as our Director of Lifelong Learning. As more people come, we'll have more of a religious education collective within our congregation. But if we want to give better attention to shoring up membership, let's look a little bit more at people age 50 and up, alongside continuing outreach to young adults as individuals, as couples, and as families with children. We can have more than one membership approach. These days, a retiree could join us and be an active pledging and volunteering member for 20 years. So let's reach out and welcome seniors. There's a saying that 10% of the people do 90% of the work for a volunteer organization. And I want our statistics to show that we can all do a part, not just depend on a few dedicated souls. This year, can we figure out how better to make that happen? For our church to thrive, we need active volunteer service here by many members. It's never enough for 10% of the congregation to be the active ones in all aspects, from board service to committee activities to leadership involvement in Sunday services and religious education. And I'm sure our most active would like a bit of a break. We do see how much you do, and we thank you. On the photo of today's order of service are our outdated directory, which is in the process of being updated, and bylaws, which I'd like us to consider revising, because although we did have a complete revision 5 years ago, we could re-examine aspects of membership, as I already spoke about the structure for committees, groups, and teams, and about the nomination and election process for our congregational governing. I included our annual report in the picture, as that's the document that make today's words called for. I could have added to that picture our behavioral covenants and a pledge form, but I thought that would be overdoing it for my point of asking you to serve as best you can. There's plenty of paperwork for us, isn't there? Please don't think of all of this as bleak words. Maybe I wasn't as light or joking as I could have been, but this has been on my mind in a serious way. As a congregation, we try some outreach and seemingly don't make much progress, but we do make some. Know that growth won't be instant or miraculous, but we can grow. So, 8 months from now, we're going to have our 2024 annual meeting. Wouldn't it be good for us to have a solid foundation, no need for any last-minute pleas or for massaging numbers to present a better than real image of our situation? We haven't done that manipulation for a while. Our boards and budget setters have been good about letting the congregation know how we're really doing and working with the pledges we have, though with a need for more dependence than we should rely on to use what we call our operating reserve. This time around, the hope is that the operating reserve won't be a dependent factor. But that means we have to do the work of giving solid financial support combined with active volunteer work for and at First Unitarian Church of Toledo. That's how we can foster spiritual growth and compassionate action and continue our way to becoming a vibrant, inclusive spiritual community that achieves growth, visibility, and relevance. Please be with us through these 8 months. And when the 2024 annual meeting ends, let it be with some celebration of accomplishment. That's what I'm working toward. Will you be with me? So be it.
And now we come to that part where we talk about the collection. But we don't pass the plate like a lot of churches do. But we do have these 3 ways in which you may contribute. I'm hoping Water will keep this queue up for just a little bit, a few seconds, so that folks can get out your phones and focus in on it. Also, you will see an address in a few seconds that will be posted that you can mail into the church, your check. And there is the basket. And the basket is out in the foyer, the entranceway here, and you can drop your offering off, or your extra offering to your pledge off on your way out. We thank you for giving and supporting First Unitarian of Toledo, and we know that we are in your hearts, and we know that you support us in what ways you can. Thank you very much.
What gift did we bring? What present? What token? What words to convey the joy of this day? When grateful we come, in memory, and what song can we offer? come true. Give thanks to them for starting your worship, mission, and peace. This year we now bring this presence, this token, these words, and convey our joy of this day. When grave will be gone, and we rejoice in this holy hour, in honor and praise.
It's the coming soon part of our service, where we tell you what's on the calendar for next week. We give some announcements, and we also let you know what's up for right after the service. Next Sunday at 9:45 a.m. and the following Sunday, our spiritual forum will be in person and on Zoom, with Michael Richardson giving us a two-part fossil fuel divestment presentation. Details are in the order of service. And then for the 11 a.m. service, we'll have Reverend Sunshine Wolf, our contact person for the Unitarian Universalist Association, here from their home in Pittsburgh to speak on After the Flood, Reimagining Community and Connection.
And now it's my turn to say a few things. First is about childcare. Here on Sunday mornings, we're in need of nursery and religious education helpers. We're not quite back to a curriculum and teaching Sunday school, but we are starting to get a few more children, including some very young ones who aren't good yet in groups. So Jenny could use some helpers. Please contact her. We may need to do some paperwork before you're on the schedule. So the sooner we start the process, the better. Awesome. And we thank all of the volunteers and purchasers for making yesterday's rummage sale a success. And all you volunteers, you can let out a real big sigh of relief. Let's hear it. There you go. These types of fundraisers are chaotic and a bit messy, but they're a necessary way to help fund First Unitarian. And yesterday brought in around about $1,600, so I'm informed. Thanks for your involvement, and let's recognize the volunteers.
And two more things from me. One, please make plans, if you can, to attend an all-congregation workshop this coming Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Our Unitarian Universalist Association Central East Region Field Staff Contact, Reverend Sunshine Wolf, whom I already told you will preach Sunday, will lead a meeting on Saturday that I hope inspires us to volunteer for the church and make our church stronger through participation. The title is Emergent Church, Redefining UU Congregations Through You. A term Reverend Sunshine used with me is liminal action. So come and learn what that is and how it will help us. And two, the Zoom About Sunday for this coming Tuesday is canceled, as we won't have a staff meeting this week. So please link in on a later Tuesday to talk about our Sunday services.
And finally, drum roll, our final entry for the coming soon is for me to invite you once more to join us after today's service for coffee, conversation, and a casual social time in Fellowship Hall. And if you go straight down the hallway from the sanctuary, you will find it near the end on the left. You can't miss it.
And now please join me in reciting the words for us figuratively to send some Unitarian Universalist fire into the community while Phil extinguishes the chalice flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the fire of commitment, or the warmth of community. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
As we leave this friendly place, love gives light to every face. May the kindness which we learn light our hearts till we return. Worked out well.